Breaking news. The United States and British militaries launched a massive retaliatory strike against the Houthis in Yemen. As you can see that the escalation that I talked about in previous videos have come to fruition. And of course, the Houthis are Iranian-backed. So this is basically an extension of what's going on in Gaza as well. And this is how the United States will get involved. And we're going to read a report by Yahoo that is basically talking about this conflict. And it's, as you can see, the U.S. and British militaries bombed more than a dozen sites used by the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen on Thursday, and a massive retaliatory strike against warship and submarine-launched Tomahawk missiles and fighter jets, U.S. officials said. The military targets included air defense and coastal radar sites, drone and missile storage, and launching locations, they said. President Joe Biden said the strikes were meant to demonstrate that the United States and its allies will not tolerate the militant group's ceaseless attacks on the Red Sea. And he said they only made the move after attempts at diplomatic negotiations and careful deliberation, notwithstanding that the Saudis were basically involved in this conflict, directly involved in slaughtering what at the time was the biggest humanitarian crisis in the world, more so than Ukraine, because you had over I think it was 350,000 dead and 1 point something million displaced. And that number basically is being threatened, not the dead, but the displaced regarding in Gaza. These strikes are in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea, including the use of anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history, Biden said in a statement. He noted the attacks endangered U.S. personnel and civilian Marines and jeopardized trade. And he added that we'll not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and the free flow of international commerce as necessary. Well, this is the reason why Biden went to Saudi Arabia. One of the reasons. There were other reasons, such as the Khashoggi murder, and of course the production of more oil to the United States on a devalued price. And Crown Prince bin Salman rejected everything on the proposal, which is the reason why he signed Executive Order, I think it was 014010, which was Operation Encore Files, the release of the FBI's investigation with the 9/11 attacks with the Saudi government that was inside the United States running an illegal operation with the CIA. And as you can see here, the issue of Yemen is a big issue because it's actually on the broader scale touching on the conflict between the United States, the potential for the United States to intervene on Israel's behalf regarding their preconceived enemies, which are Iran, Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria. And if you look at the bigger picture here, and this is exactly what's going to happen, is that Lebanon is now involved. And they're just, biding their time. Iran is the end game. And when you have Saudi Arabia speaking out on behalf of the Palestinians, which they've been doing for the last 40 years and doing nothing about it, they could complain to Israel about it. But Israel and Saudi Arabia have a tentative relationship, and as well as the Gulf, United Arab Emirates. So Saudi Arabia is basically not going to do anything. Gulf is not going to do anything on behalf of the Palestinians. Nobody is. Nobody on the face of the earth. The United States and the coalition partners, they're not going to do anything. And the International Red Cross, the International Criminal Courts, they could scream and criticize and yell all they want. They know they can't do nothing because the United States and Israel are not co-signers of the Rome Statutes, which are the laws which make up the International Criminal Court. And the silence is deafening. And what's going to happen is the conflicts are escalating. And this has to be one of the most war-mongering administrations since the Bush administration. With Bush, you had Afghanistan and then Iraq. Under Obama, you had the continuation of those wars, plus Syria and Libya. And now with Biden, you have Ukraine, Yemen, and now in Gaza, okay? U.S. support to displace who? Muslims, Arabs, Alawites. And look, it's not a defense of the criminals like Bashar al-Assad in Syria, but nevertheless, there are no clean hands in this conflict. The United States doesn't know anything about diplomacy. And really, if you need a crash course on history, just take a look at the last 30 years. The language is violence, war. And how does that reflect on us? Look at our country, filled with violence, gun violence through the roof, mass shootings. And what is our response? Oh, to deregulate the guns. Well, it's not the guns that are the problem, it's the people, the psychological profiles of people, stress, pharmaceutical abuse of drugs in general, a lack of financial means to support the high cost of living, which is going through the roof. I live in New York, I should know. Homelessness is on the rise. War is on the rise. Conflict is on the rise. Where's diplomacy? Where's a sense of relief, a sense of peace? There is none. Whether it's Biden or Trump or Bush or Obama or anybody else, there's no difference between the Democrats and Republicans because they're the same when it comes to the greater geopolitical and political issues. Like I've said time and time again, the only time there is a division inside this country is when there's domestic issues. It's because it wants to keep us divided and looking at us like we're the enemy. And meanwhile, conflicts like this go unnoticed, even though it is right in your face. You think Biden supporters are going to criticize Biden's administration regarding Yemen? They probably couldn't point Yemen on a map, but they'll support anything he does. Same for you Republicans, you China hawks. Some of you are Zionists. I don't discern between the left and right, not when it comes to the bigger issues. Associated Press journalists in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, heard 4 explosions early Friday local time. 2 residents of Houthi, Ahmed al-Salah and Hani Ahmed, said they heard 5 strong explosions hitting the west port area of the city, which lies in the Red Sea and is the largest port city controlled by the Houthis. Eyewitnesses who spoke with the Associated Press also said they saw strikes in Taiz and Dihimar, cities south of Sana'a. The strikes marked the first U.S. military response to what has been a persistent campaign of drone and missile attacks on commercial ships since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. And the coordinated military assault comes just a week after the White House and a host of partner nations issued a final warning to the Houthis to cease the attacks or face potential military action. The officials described the strikes on condition of anonymity to discuss military operations. Members of Congress were briefed earlier Thursday on the strike plans. It all has to do with our stance with the West, Western foreign policy, Israel foreign policy, West foreign policy, Gulf foreign policy. You have to have a little bit of an understanding of this. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just reading you the news and going by what I see as honestly as I can. Because I believe, and I still believe, that an informed public is a strong public where we can take action. Can't take action if your perception is a little bit skewed by your biases, worldview. The warning appeared to have had at least some short-lived impact as attacks stopped for several days. On Tuesday, however, the Houthi rebels fired their largest ever barrage of drones and missiles targeting ships in the Red Sea, with U.S. and British ships and American fighters with jets by shooting down 18 drones, 2 cruise missiles, and an anti-ship missile. And on Thursday, the Houthis fired an anti-ship ballistic missile into the Gulf of Aden, which was seen by a commercial ship. It did not hit the ship. In a call with reporters, senior administration and military officials said that after the Tuesday attacks, Biden convened his national security team and was presented with military operations for a response. He then directed Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who remains hospitalized with complications from prostate cancer surgery, to carry out retaliatory strikes from his bed. Even when they're sick or dying, the language is still violence. The language is still war. When you're in that long, like Kissinger or Cheney, go all the way. In a separate statement, United Kingdom Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the Royal Air Force carried out targeted strikes against military facilities used by the Houthis. The defense ministry said 4 fighter jets based in Cyprus took part in strikes. Noting the militants have carried out a series of dangerous attacks on the ships, he added, "This cannot stand." When you're not about diplomacy, you have very few words, and they're slogans at best. He said the UK took limited, necessary, and proportionate action into self-defense along the United States with non-operational support from the Netherlands, Canada, and Britain, that's the coalition partners, against targets led to these attacks to degrade Houthi military capabilities and protect global shipping. That's what that matters, right? Governments of Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, New Zealand, South Korea, that's the coalition partners, joined the United States and the UK in issuing a statement saying that while the aim is to de-escalate tensions, and restore stability in the Red Sea, the Allies won't hesitate to defend lives and protect commerce in the critical waterway. The rebels have carried out 27 attacks involving dozens of drones and missiles just since November 19th and warned that any attack by American forces on the sites in Yemen will spark a fierce military response. High-ranking Houthi official Ali al-Kuhun vowed there would be retaliation. The battle will be bigger and beyond the imagination and expectation of the Americans and British, he said in the post on X, Twitter. Al-Mazriya, a Houthi-run satellite news channel, described strikes hitting the Al-Dalani Air Force Base north of Sana'a, the airport in the port city of the Hodeida, a camp east of Sada, the airport in the city of Taiz, and the airport near Hadja. The Houthis did not immediately offer any damage or casualty information. A senior administration official said that while the U.S. expects the strikes will degrade the Houthis' capabilities, we will not be surprised to see some sort of response, although they haven't seen anything official yet. Officials said the United States used warplanes based on Navy aircraft, the USS Dwight Eisenhower, and Air Force fighter jets, while the Tomahawk missiles were fired from Navy destroyers and a submarine. And that's, the basis of the whole article, which I'm going to, provide in the description for you to read. There was a couple more, but I didn't want to make this a long video. Just wanted to show you a breaking update of what's going to happen, what's happening right now with big events. And I think, if you follow the guys at the Libertarian Institute, please do so. Dave DeCamp is all over this. Scott Horton, Kyle Angelo, Will Porter, Connor Freeman, those guys, Patrick McFarland, and other people have been reporting on this as well. Basically, people within the alt media and centrist media basically is reporting on this, and they'll give you the honest takes, actually, without any bias whatsoever. So any new updates, of course, you're going to be the first to hear from this channel without any bias or without any prejudices, news on the report. Thank you for watching, and I will keep you updated as long as new updates will come about. See you later.